Hey guys, welcome back. In this lecture, we will work on a feature where we will implement a many-to-many association between user and other model using has-many through association. And we will also try to learn the single table inheritance in Rails. Now, let's talk about the feature where we have user model created already. And if you think of the name of the application, which is ProFinder, and we will consider every user here as a professional that can have some skills. For example, if a user is a web developer, then he can have some skills like Ruby, Rails, Python, Bootstrap, JavaScript, jQuery, HTML, and so on. So we can consider these languages as the skill of the users, and as in real world scenario, a user can be experienced with multiple skills and a skill can be known by multiple users at the same time. So both skill and user consist of a many to many relationship between them. Now let's talk about the single table inheritance that we're gonna use in this lecture. First, let me show you through some example on a normal text. So just to come to your project or just open a normal text file, and here you can consider that, let's say this is the user, okay, and now this user is a web developer, okay, and this user can have multiple skills like, let's say, Ruby, Python, and Java, Node.js, okay, and some other skill side like, let's say, HTML and CSS3, Bootstrap. Here you can see that this is the user. Okay, this is the user and it has multiple skills like Ruby, Python, Java, Node.js, HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. Let's say there is another user, let's say user 2, and user 2 name is Alex Smith. And this Alex also has skills of, let's say, Ruby, JavaScript, and let's say Heroku, and again, let's say Rails and HTML. So here you can see that both Ravi and Alex has the skills of Ruby, okay, and HTML, and other skills are different. So you can see say that user has many skills and the Ruby also has many users associated with it. So Ruby is known by both Ravi Singh and Alex Smith. So that means it's a many to many relationship between user and the skills model. Now let's think about the single table inheritance for this. Let's say you can consider all of these languages or frameworks as the skills that user can have. Now Ruby belongs to some backend language, Java belongs to some backend language, Node.js belongs to some backend language, Python belongs to some backend language, and HTML, CSS3, Bootstrap, and JavaScript are the front end languages or front end frameworks. Okay, so here we will use STI so that we can just inherit the skill model into two different model classes, that is front end skills and back end skills, okay, and we do not have to create any other model like, let's say, skill category, then we can create front end skills and back end skills, or we do not need to add any other attribute to identify that whether this skill is a front end skill or a back end skill, and we will do this using the STI. The only thing which is mandatory while using an STI, that you need to add a type column into the table for the model you want to inherit from other classes, okay, because that type will make sure that this record is from that type. For example, if we can store type and name into the skills, then we can identify that whether this skill is front end or back end using the type column into the skill model. Okay, so let's start implementing this feature. First, switch to the terminal. So just come to the terminal, and here you need to run a new model with name skill. So Rails G model, and name it as skill. And now we need to provide two attributes for this, that is name and type. Okay, this name consists the name of the skill, and type denotes the what type of skill this is. Okay, and now you need to run the migration. So Rails db migrate. Okay, and after running the migration, just switch to the project directory, and here you can see that in the app models you have generated a skill model. Okay, now what we need to do, since I talk about STI, that we need to inherit this skill model by two other classes, let's say front end skills and back end skills. So just create two models manually into the model file. So what you need to do here, just create a new file and name this file as, let's say, front end skill, front end skill.rb. And you can also create another model with name as backend skill.rb. Sorry, backend skill.rb. So just to create another file and name this as, let's say, backend skill.rb. If you wish, you can just keep like a backend.rb or frontend.rb. That is also fine, but I am just using backend skill and frontend skill. Okay. Now what I need to do here, I need to inherit both of these models from the skill model. So how I can do that? Backend skill. It should belongs to skill. Okay. And then you just need to do the same thing for front end skill as well. So just copy this class and paste it here and rename the name backend with front end. So front end skill. So now you can see that we have a parent model, that is skill.rb, which is inherited by the application record, and this is the front end skill, which is inherited by skill, and back end skill, which is inherited by skill as well. Now what is the advantage of using these front end skill and back end skill? That we do not need to create any table for both of the front end skill and backend skill in our schema.rb. Okay, we just inherited both the model classes in from the another model class, which is skill.rb. Now open the skill model and add a validation into the model file for the name attribute. So open the skill.rb, and here what you need to do, validates name presents true and uniqueness true. Okay. And I would just like to make sure for you that after creating this skill model, you just need to try at your end by writing the same spec that we write for the user model for the skill model. Okay, so you need to work on skill model spec at your end for these basic validations, and rest of the advanced specs I will add. Okay, so just try these specs for the skill model at your end. So the skill model has been set up so far. Now we need to associate this skill model with the user model as many to many relationship using has many through association. So we need to generate another model as well, and we can name that model as user skill. But before generating the intermediate model, let me explain why I am using has many through association and not has and belongs to many, which is also used for implementing the many to many relationship, and this does not require the intermediate table as well. It just requires a joint table with the primary keys of both user and skill table. So my reason behind using has many throw or has and belongs to many, that every user can have a different rating for particular skill. So I cannot add this attribute in any of the user or skill model. And if I choose has and belongs to associate, has and belongs to many association, then I cannot use this attribute into the joint table as well. And that's why I need an intermediate model for storing this rating attribute. Okay, and why I'm adding this rating? For example, if you are a web developer and you know the Ruby, then you might rate yourself, let's say, 8 out of 10 for Ruby, 9 out of 10 for Rails, and 5 out of 10 for AWS, and so on. Okay, so let's generate the intermediate model in our project. So switch to the terminal again, and here what we need to do, Rails G model, and we can name this model as, let's say, user skill. Okay, and what you need to do here, user references and skill references. Okay, and the custom attribute, that is rating. So rating, and the rating must be integer. However, if you wish, you can create rating as float as well. For example, some users might want to rate themselves as, let's say, 8.5 8.5 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. So if you wish, you can consider float type as well, but I am just considering the integer type. Okay, now run the migration. So Rails DB migrate. Okay, and once the migration has been done, what we need to do, we need to define these association into both user and skill model. So just to switch to the project directory again, and here what we need to do, as many user skills. Okay, and then as many users through user skills. Okay, so now you can see that skill has many users skills, and it has user skills through user skill model. Okay, and we need to define the same association into the user model. So just copy this association definition into the and paste it into the user model, so we can place at the top. Now you can see user has many user skills, and now replace this user by has many skills through user skills and save the file. So the basic setup has been done for skill and user association. Now we need to create some records for skill model in the seed file. Here you will learn how to create objects for STI model. So open the seed file and create some records for front end skills first. So just go to the DB and open the seeds file, and here what you need to do, front end skill. Okay, now dot create. Here you can see that I'm not using skill.create. What I'm using here, front end skill. Okay, so if you create front end skill, then the type is automatically stored into the skill table as front end skill. That will represent that this skill is a front end skill, and that skill is a back end skill. Okay, now if you wish, you can use find or create by as well. So we will use find or create by. So find or create by. Okay, and then name, let's say front end skill will be HTML. Okay, and then just copy this line and do this for now, let's say CSS3, and then let's say JavaScript, jQuery, Twitter Bootstrap, and then you can add another skill like let's say React.js, and you can add AngularJS, Vue.js, and so on. Okay, now let's do the same thing for backend skill. So what you need to do here, just replace this front end via backend. Okay, so backend skill dot find or create by name, and now you can replace this name by let's say Ruby. Copy this line and create more backend skill. Let's say Rails, and add let's say Java, Node.js, and then you can add Python, PHP, Laravel, and you can add let's say MySQL, MongoDB, PostgreSQL, curl as well. So let's add them. PostgreSQL, MySQL, MongoDB, say curl, REST API, and so on. If you wish, you can create as many as skill for both front end and back end as your wish. Okay, so that's all, and save the file. Okay, here you can see that we used front end skill and back end skill to create record for skill model. When you run the seed and these records get saved into the database, the type of the skill is automatically stored in the skill table. Okay, so save the file, copy all these front end and back end skills. Okay, and if you wish, you can directly run rails db seed on the terminal, but I am not running this because here you can see that I created 100 times user. So if I run the seed file, then it will also create 100 users as well, that I really don't need. So just copy these skills and we will paste them these skills into the terminal. Okay, so just copy this, shift to the terminal and run the rails c or else console. Okay, and then you need to paste all the queries into the console, and here you can see that the records has been created for all the skills. Okay, So now if I open skill.all, here you can see that these are all the skills, and all skills have a type attribute stored for itself. Like HTML, it belongs to front end skills, and you can verify in the seed file as well that skill front end skill dot find or create by name HTML. Okay, and here you can see that its type is front end skill. CSS3 type front end skill, and here you can see Twitter Bootstrap type front end skill. And now if you want to see backend skill, then you can see PostgreSQL backend skill, MySQL backend skill, Python backend skill, Node.js backend skill, and so on. So the skills has been created for both the front end and back end skills. Now let's assign some skills to the user. So again, open the seed file and create some records for the user skills model. So switch to the seeds file, and how we can do that here. You know that we created this user skill model. Okay, it belongs to skill and belongs to user, and now we can add validation for its rating as well. So validates rating presents true. Okay, presents true, and save the file now, and open the sheet file, and then here you can create user skill dot create, and then user is user dot first, and skill is skill dot find one, rating, let's say 5, sorry 8. Okay, now just copy this line and just keep pasting this. Now just to change the IDs of the skill, let's say 1, 3, 4, 5, and 8. Okay, and now let's create the same thing for user dot last as well. So user dot last and skill find one. Just copy this, and here you can add, let's say 4 and 8. And now rest of the attributes must skill IDs must be different, like let's say 6, 7, 9. Okay, now save this sheet file and copy all these user skills record, and we will create these user skills from the Rails console. So copy that and paste it into the console. So here you can see that it is creating the user skills record. Okay, now let's find, or let's check whether the association is working or not. So if you open the, let's say if you find the user first, so user equal to user dot first, or let's say make it user one. Okay, so user one equal to user dot first, and here you can see user one dot skills. You can see this user has 5 skills, and all 5 skills are front end skills. Let's say HTML, JavaScript, jQuery, Twitter Bootstrap, and Vue.js. Now let's find the user2 dot skills. So user2 equal to, so first find the user2. So user2 dot, sorry, user2 equal to user dot last. Find it, and now user2 dot skills. Okay, and here you can see that this user has 6 skills, that is HTML, jQuery, Vue.js, React.js, AngularJS, and Ruby. Okay, so these are the skills associated with a particular user. Now, similarly, we can find the users associated with an skill as well. So let's find skill equal to skill dot first. Okay, now just use skill dot users. Okay, and you can see that with the first skill, that is HTML. Okay, if you wish the skill, you can see that this skill is HTML, and two users know this skill, that is user with ID 1 and user with ID 100. Okay, and that's it. So our association is working fine, our single table inheritance is working fine. We created two, let me summarize it again. So just go to the project directory, and here you can see that we created a skill model with many to many association with user through user skills, and we inherited this skill model using frontend skill.rb and backend skill.rb. Okay, and then we do not create the table for frontend skill and backend skill, and we created records for both front skill model using frontend skill and backend skill using the seed file that you can see here. backend skill dot find or create by, front end skill dot find or create by, and this is ultimately saving the record into the skill table. So this is the use of STI. Okay, so now we avoid the need of another model which can have like skill category, and skill category has many skills like let's say you created two records, front end skill and back end skill, and now front end skill has many skill records like HTML, CSS and all that, and back end skills has many skills, let's say Ruby, Rails, and all that. Okay, so now we achieve the same functionality using a single model and using the single table inheritance. Okay, now if you want, you can also find the records using front end skill and back end skill model name as well. So just switch to the terminal again, and here what you need to run, front end skill.org. Here you can see that you can get all the front end skills, and you can get all the back end skills as well. Backend dot all. Here you can fetch all the backend skills, and that's it. So in this lecture we prepared the many to many association between users and skills, and we also learned how to add models using STI. Now in the next lecture we will work on writing specs for this association. Meanwhile, let's try this lecture at your end. So thanks for watching this, and let's meet into the next lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.